Welcome to another Security Token Show interview. This time we're joined by Carlos Domingo, co-founder and CEO at Securitize. Carlos, how are you today?
I'm doing fine. Thanks, Jason, for the invite. My pleasure to be here again.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on. You guys have been in the news quite a lot lately for various reasons. You guys have crossed $1 billion in issuances. You have Securitize Fund Services, and BUIDL is multi-chain now. So lots to cover today. I do want to start with the $1 billion in tokenized issuances that you guys have. Congratulations, first and foremost. You guys have been around since 2017, I believe, and you guys have seen, I'm sure, quite an array of assets. Across, that $1 billion plus that you guys have on chain now, what do you guys see as probably the most investor appetite happy, type of assets or most prime for tokenization?
Good. So yes, this month we're becoming 7 years old, which is quite a milestone. So we've been around and we've tried, as you know, many different asset classes. Out of the $1 billion, around 750 million. It is funds, private funds and alternative assets as funds like credit and other type of funds, out of which $500 million is the tokenized private treasury fund that we do with BlackRock. So certainly that has been the most popular asset class, if you want, that we are like really focused. That the rest includes other things we've done in the past, like obviously the tokenization we did with Exodus or with you guys, which was more like equity products that we did in the past. But as of today, I think funds and anything yield-bearing funds is probably where the sweet spot for the industry is.
That makes sense. And I do want to touch on funds a little later. But before that, curious, from obviously BUIDL has brought a lot of attention to tokenization, to you guys. How have you seen any activity from, BUIDL bringing in a new set of investors and then maybe that cross-pollinating to other funds that are hosted on Securitize?
100%. So the model now we operate with is that, because we're the broker dealer and the tokenization platform for all these customers that we have, then the first step, obviously, because the tokens that we are selling are securities, is that you have to onboard with Securitize, right? And create a Securitize ID account, whether you're an individual investor or you're an institutional investor. And once you have your account, you have access not only to the asset that you wanted to purchase, but anything else that is available on the platform that fits your qualification as investor, right? Like if it's a retail product, everybody, if it's accredited investors, only accredited investors. If it's qualified purchases, only qualified purchasers. So the platform segregates based on your, your status, what products you have available. But once you buy one or you onboard for buying one, you can then access all of them. And that's the whole idea about the simplicity of using our platform, right? Like the friction of onboarding only happens once. And after that, you have access to everything else we're offering.
That makes sense. And of course, BUIDL is, qualified purchasers, as we've seen. And so kind of makes it easy to then go ahead to anything that's a little bit more retail.
Yeah, qualified purchasers can buy anything we have in the platform.
Yeah. Awesome. So I do have to ask, $1 billion over, the last years that you guys have been active. This time next year, where do you predict yourself to be in the tokenization industry before we dive into other stuff?
I mean, look, this year, we went at the beginning of the year probably from 400 million to $1 billion, and then those 400 million took us like several years to build. So we've kind of seen a slow, gradual growth, and then we've seen now more than double year on year. So I think that next year the growth will continue accelerating. So I do not expect that this will double, but more triple or even 5x next year. I think the appetite is there. We have a lot more integrations with key actors in the ecosystem. We have more accounts in the platform, better assets, etc. So I do expect that, the 1 billion to 2 billion will happen a lot faster than the $500 million to $1 billion.
Makes sense, right? Yeah. You see some of that exponential growth, type of curve that we're all expecting across the industry, and of course, you guys, I'm sure, have quite the pipeline of people, looking to work with you. Which brings me to the fund services. That's a new service that you guys recently announced, which speaks towards your focus on funds. Tell me a little bit about maybe some of the gaps that fund administration has in traditional finance that Web3 and you guys are helping solve, and how does fund services fit into that puzzle?
Look, because we tokenize funds, we act as a transfer agent for the fund. Most institutional funds will use a transfer agent. maybe some more like crypto funds, etc. They just use only a fund admin. But the fund admins, which are not regulated entities supposed to a transfer agent, they end up overlapping in functionality, number one. So when you don't have a transfer agent, then the KYC and onboarding is done by the fund admin, and the signature of the purchase agreement is done by them instead of by the transfer agent. So in every project we've worked with, we've had to work with a third-party fund admin unavoidably, because we didn't have those capabilities, and ends up being a kind of a clunky integration, because it's overlapping in functionality, but there's certain things that we only do, certain things that they only do, and it also, in some cases, when we work with fund admins that are, let's say, analog, they're not digital or not crypto friendly, then we run into all sort of problems every time we need to, fetch the enough information through an API. They might not actually have a cloud API, believe it or not, or we have a lot of hoops to go. And if you want to do fast issuance, maybe they're not set up to do that. Or if you're going to update the NAV more frequently, there is all sort of putting it through an Oracle on chain. There is all sort of friction points of integrating with fund admins that are not digital. So we felt that, to provide a really good end-to-end service to our customers, and that could leverage all the power of blockchain, we needed to have these capabilities in-house. So we decided to launch our own services.
That makes it a little bit more scalable, especially as next year we see probably a whole slew of funds looking to come on chain. And obviously you guys have a product that integrates well with the rest of the Securitize suite, if you will. What's stopping, or what do you feel is stopping the traditional fund admins from creating something similar? Is it maybe the lack of experience on the tech and Web3 side, or what do you think is the barrier there for them?
Look, the core business of a fund admin is do accounting, right?
Yeah.
That's what they do. That's NAV calculation, calculation for distributions, tax reporting, and things like that. So most fund admins are at their heart, they're not technology companies, even though a lot of them pretend to be, and they end up building systems and things like that. But I don't think that this is their core business. Their core business is to basically do, in my opinion, accounting and investor services in a very good way. So I think that we are at the heart the opposite. We are a technology company that, for us, building technologies is what we do for a living. So I think that we can probably do a more tightly integrating. And then when it comes to integrate with, blockchain tools or move things or calculations at a blockchain speed, is even creating more difficulties for traditional fund admins to be able to deal with. So.
Got it. And of course, that flows in, I'm sure, with the other assets and services that you guys have, like Securitize for Advisors, which helps on the distribution side, I'm sure. I do want to, I know we have a few minutes left, so I do want to touch on the latest of the news that you guys have been in, which is that BUIDL is now multi-chain. You guys are on Ethereum, which is where you started on. Then you went Aptos, Arbitrum, Polygon, Avalanche, and Optimism. Congratulations. That's a lot.
Thank you.
Talk to us about interoperability and how that serves the product itself.
So we've always been multi-chain, as you know. We started on Ethereum, I guess, like anybody that started back in 2017, or SpiceBC, which was the predecessor even in 2016. There was just one blockchain that everybody used. Then over the years, there's been kind of like work in two different directions. One is to create, roll-ups that sit on top of Ethereum that run transactions and settle on Ethereum, like, let's say, in the case of Arbitrum or Optimism. Or there's been like new L1s that have launched that are trying to fix some of the issues of, speed, transaction cost, etc. that Ethereum has, like Polygon, Avalanche, or Aptos, or provide, like maybe in the case of Aptos, different smart contract technology and programming languages, etc. So our platform since 2019, if I remember correctly, has always been multi-chain, in the sense that we have an abstraction layer that allows us to issue assets on different chains, and we just need to integrate that particular chain with our platform to be able to use it as the underlying ledger for tracking securities, right? What is different here now is that, and in the past we've done, as you know, projects with Polygon, with Avalanche, etc. What's different in this case is that this is the first time that we have an asset that is issued in our platform, that the same asset lives across many chains. So obviously that has a different level of complexity in terms of us aggregating the positions across multiple chains, tracking changes if people, burn an asset in a chain and reissue another one, etc., to be able to aggregate the data to provide the asset manager a full picture of their holdings, etc., across multiple ledgers, right? So that was kind of like the main work on the engineering side that we had to do to adapt our platform to this scenario, as opposed to before, where we would use one ledger, and that ledger could be different ledgers, but we're just one ledger per asset, right? So hopefully we'll see this, being rolled out to, everything else we have in the platform that can live across multiple chains, because every chain, has a different ecosystem, different liquidity profiles, different DeFi apps that can interact with, etc. So the world we live in is multi-chain, and therefore we as an app supporting blockchain, we need to be in multiple chains.
It makes sense to me. Let the chain wars begin, if you will, to get as many assets on as you can.
Yeah, look, this is used to be in the telecommunications industry. There was a period in time when you develop a mobile application and you had to support 10 mobile operating systems, and if not, then you were losing a particular set of users in a particular geography or features, etc. And then at some point in time in the industry, everything consolidated around 2 operating systems. Now you have iOS and Android, and that's it. And nobody thinks about doing anything else. But we're not there on the blockchain space. I think this kind of like these multiple ecosystems that also there's technologies to help you facilitate how you move assets from one blockchain to another. We announced in the past in September that we were in the future going to integrate with wormholes. So obviously we'll look forward to adopting some of these technologies that will help us manage this multi-chain world.
Makes sense. Yeah, and we did see that announcement come out. So excited to see where that takes you guys. To your point, though, on different ecosystems that may make sense, right? I think the industry is still nascent enough that there's still plenty of room for new chains as well as established chains to grow. We've seen BUIDL be used as collateral. We saw it on Falcon X and so forth. As you're tapping into these new blockchain ecosystems, what else do you think is going to get built, whether it's for BUIDL or funds in general? What kinds of dApps do you see yourself, bringing onto the ecosystem?
Obviously, the collateral use case for treasuries, for tokenized treasuries, is a huge use case that we're very keen on continue pursuing. As you know, we've already made inroads with some of the large prime brokers and hopefully soon exchanges, etc. In terms of what do I look forward from, I think that the thing that hasn't been cracked yet is how RWAs in general interact with DeFi, right? And of course, there's a natural friction of DeFi being permissionless and anonymous versus RWAs being permission assets because they represent securities, etc. But I think we're going to see soon, how those things can actually coexist and then leverage the power of these DeFi protocols for either lending or automated market making that can then bring additional value to tokenized assets and tokenized RWAs.
Absolutely. No, couldn't agree more. And we're excited to see that. I think eventually we'll get to a point where we have a risk on type of, settlement, rather than having to come down to cash and obviously, continue earning that yield among other use cases to be built, especially next year and years to come. So Carlos, thank you so much for coming on. Are there any parting thoughts or anything that maybe you want to tease us with in terms of, what else is to be expected from you or Securitize?
No, I just want to say this is a very exciting moment in the industry. RWAs are finally taking off and they're growing faster than other parts of the ecosystem. At the same time, it seems that now we're going to have an administration in the US that is more, pro crypto and help the whatever we all expecting, which is, more friendly regulations so we can actually do things. We've been a regulated entity since the beginning, but nevertheless, we also suffered, the complexity of being able to do more things with our licenses and other new assets or other use cases. So I think that we're probably in a very transformational moment for the industry, and we couldn't be more excited to be part of it.
Same for us. We're excited for a bright future for crypto, for tokenized RWA specifically, obviously, and all that's to come with the next year. So Carlos, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully we catch you again soon.
Thank you, Jason.